I just said, just sing it to me 3 times, top to bottom. Don't punch in. Don't edit anything. Just sing it the first time just normally. The second time, give me about 10% more gas, more emotion. And on the third one, now that you already have 2 in the bank and you know you've got it, on the third one, just go nuts. Just get loose and go crazy. And that's always the one I use.
Is that right?
I didn't expect it to be, but that is the way it happened every time. Once they're confident that they have a couple in the bank and they can just kind of cut loose on the third one, it's always the best one, because I'm looking for fire and passion, not perfection. I want it to be raw and real, and I want it to actually make a record of a performance, to record a real performance that I can say that was him singing that day. Same with my own stuff. My own personal standard is even higher. It's even worse. My personal standard is no punching in, no editing. I play all my tracks from beginning to end, and if I don't make it all the way through without making a mistake, I start over.
Wow.
And that's how I get better. And that way, when I listen to one of my guitar solos, that's actually me playing that day, top to bottom. That's a complete performance. No editing, no piecing together the best bits from 5 different solos like people do so much these days with the new digital equipment. You can do all kinds of fixing it up. Well, I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted it to be completely old school. So everything's played by hand in real time. There's no studio trickery involved whatsoever.
That's cool. So there's even the vocals aren't comped from the 3 different performances or anything like that?
No. I was ready to comp. I would sit down to comp, and I'd go through them and take notes, and I'd go, this third one is the best one by far.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. And so I think that's one of the reasons it's got a little bit of a live sound, because it wasn't recorded that way, but the intention was that way, and I tried to keep as much live nuance to it as I could.
Very good, very good. Do you find that working with singers as a producer is really different than working with instrumentalists as a producer, because they tend to be more sensitive?
It is. You need a bedside manner. You definitely. It's funny because I learned that with Ann, because if there was a certain one single line that we didn't think she had a good performance of, if you told her what line it was, forget it. She would get self-conscious about that line every time the line came up. Or if you have her sing the same line over and over again 10 times, it would never work. If we needed to catch one line, we would have her sing the whole song again. And she wouldn't know which line it was that we're looking for.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because singers are funny that way. It's all about confidence and...
Right, like it plants a little tripwire in their mind.
Yeah, it's like an actor is, and you don't want to exactly tell them what you're looking for, and because they'll kind of tighten up right when you need them not to tighten up. So yeah, I do find that, and that was one of the reasons why I told them, don't start, don't stop, just sing it all the way through, get into the song. I mean, with Ann, when she was singing a vocal, you couldn't stop the tape when she's in the middle of, like if she did a line you didn't like, you couldn't stop it, because she'd get so into the performance and so into the moment singing that if you stop it, it's just like, it's such a rude. It's shocking almost to her. So we would just let her sing from top to bottom, and I learned that's usually the best way to get a good vocal from somebody. Let them sing the whole song and get into the performance.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, how has computerized recording changed the way that you do approach recording? I mean, you're not using the comping and all that, but how has it changed your general approach to producing? Because you came up when it was reel-to-reel, really.
Yeah. Well, the machines are different. We use digital machines, but I don't think it's changed my personal way of recording hardly at all. I still do it pretty much the way I've always done it. I still use some of my vintage amps and guitars, and I don't think it's changed that much. I think when you mix, sometimes now there's a few things you can do mixing-wise that were hard to do back in the old days. I mean, back in the old days, you had to have like 5 people, with everybody has one hand on a knob or 2 knobs, and we'd all have to mix, and we would mix the song section by section because there was just too many moves. Where nowadays the computer will remember your moves, so if you change a little level, it'll stay that way.
Right.
Every time. So all you have to do is keep refining till it's done, and then the memory really helps you. That's about the biggest change, because it used to be so difficult to track all these different parts and make everything perfect all the way through. We'd have to mix the song in sections and actually cut chunks of tape together of all the finished sections to make a master. But now you don't. Now you have memory. Now you come back, you take a tape home at night, and when you're driving home, you go, oh gosh, that one guitar there is a little bit loud. So you come in the next day, and all you have to do is fix that one little guitar. You don't have to start from scratch.
Right, I got you.
Yeah. Like we used to do. So mixing is different, but for me, recording is still exactly the same.
That's cool, because, most bands, of course, have started to basically just, like, it drives me crazy when I hear somebody's record and it's obvious that they've flown in the chorus, like they sang it once and then pasted it to every other.
No, that is so lame, because...
Yeah, it's absurd.
It doesn't sound right either, because, every time you sing it, it has different little inflections. And after you hear a song 100 times, you can identify that kind of stuff. Those little details, I never went with the idea of, well, we'll just sing the chorus once, and we'll fly it in all 5 times you hear it in the song. Go, wait a minute. If it happens 5 times, we should sing it 5 times. That's crap.
Yeah, I agree. The point I always make, I always go back to Led Zeppelin or the Who or the Beatles or anybody. If you took those great rock records and you put them in perfect time and then you put them in perfect pitch and all that, they wouldn't be those records anymore.
They absolutely wouldn't. Well, here's a fact for you. Bruce Springsteen overdubs imperfections. If they have a track that's too perfect, he'll go in there and he'll fix it in the opposite way.
Is that right?
Yeah, he'll make it a little rougher. It's not supposed to be perfect. If it was perfect, it sounds strange. Like you're saying, some of those records that are assembled or records that are produced by computers, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound human to me. I don't get that. I don't see why people would strive for perfection. You can see it all around you today. The equipment gets better and better, and the music keeps getting worse.
Exactly.
I mean, how does that happen? That's because people aren't even trying anymore. They let the computers do all the work. My 9-year-old can do a track on GarageBand that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just grabbing loops and putting them together and trying stuff out, and he comes up with stuff that's halfway decent. I mean, he could be making records in another year or two if he works on that with that style. I mean, that's much too easy.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, because everything there's a sameness to all of that. There isn't any individual merit to any of it.
And then the thing now with the auto-tune, where anybody can sing, and it comes out sounding perfect. In fact, some of the people use it, turn it up so high that it kind of sounds robotic, and that's the new effect, the hip new effect that everybody's using, is they overusing the auto-tune.
Right.
So it makes the notes all sound perfect. And to me, number one, that doesn't sound attractive. It doesn't sound like a person's really singing. And B, you're making stars out of people that don't have any talent, and that's no good, because then they go out and try to do a live gig, and people go, wait a minute, what the heck?
Yeah, or even worse, the thing for me is when you go and you're at a show and you can tell that they're playing to a click track that's been synced so that certain parts can be triggered even live.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You
hear bands that have horn parts and keyboard parts, and there's no keyboard player even on stage.
Yeah, or they're singing along to a guide vocal, and that drives me insane.
Yeah. They have a tuned vocal in their head, in their ears.
Uh-huh.
And it's keeping them on key a little closer. In fact, some artists, I won't name any names here, but this really happens. They have the whole show on tape, and if they're singing fine that night, you hear them live. But if they're not having a good night, they mix down the live microphone, and up comes the tape.
Yeah.
Or if it's a dance number where you would be so out of breath that it's physically impossible to dance like that and sing at the same time, you're not hearing them sing. You're watching them dance.
Right.
So, which is fine. It's fine for like a Vegas show, I suppose. But for rock and roll, that's not rock and roll.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more.